colleagues that they have, which is a bigger, much bigger cause. So if numbers mean anything, that also shows how we deserve the kind of accolades that perhaps we usually don't easily shower upon our own people. دنیا به گوگل زیبون فلکار نخکاری. ذلك اختنوا بهم مسئله. Should it continue to be like that? I do not know. Should we change that? Yes. How can we change that is a question that each one of us should ask. I'm also addressing Dr. Junaid in absentia. He's in Islamabad, perhaps attending the meeting of the Drug Regulatory Authority of Pakistan, of which I think Nasir said is also a member, right? Yeah. So, so he's there. So I thank him for arranging this activity, and I hope that you continue to arrange more and more activities. Last night I was in a Twitter space. It was more of a topic. Well, let's put it this way: it was a seminar, or it was a talk, and the topic that I chose to talk about, which I had given them before, was why cannot we apply our knowledge to real life? And one of the examples that I chose was Newton's first law of motion, which is also called the law of inertia. And I'm sure you've heard about that. So, for example, that's what the law says. If there is an object on this surface, this object shall remain stationary till such time that there is an external force which is bigger than the weight of this object and any other force, external force, which resists the force that I apply to it. So if I touch it, it will not move. And for me to be able to keep it moving, I have to have a sustained force. So this was one of the examples. Then I also recited a couplet by Rahman Baba, which I'm not going to do here. Wasim Saab is going to do much better when the Mashayikh start. And I also shared a nazm by Fazil Makhtar. And then I talked about sodium and chlorine. When Professor Davy discovered sodium in 19th century, start of 19th century, you know better than I do. I think it was discovered in 1804. And chlorine was discovered before that by a German scientist, but he discovered it or misdiagnosed it, was later on confirmed. Was bata soeshi, sabak angreze ki will dina sinda khala. Das on the hasta from Costa Rica, that's the critical movie. So, so I was trying to focus because the audience was mainly students, and I'm particularly addressing students here. And the focus was on sodium chloride. Sodium in itself is poison, but it's essential for human health. Chlorine is in gaseous form, is poison, but it's also essential for, if not human health, human life. One carries a positive charge, the other carries a negative charge. And when I was small, studying sodium chloride, I also had to understand the equation of sodium positive ion getting together with chlorine negative ion, forming the compound that we collectively call sodium chloride, and which we use almost on a daily basis in our household. Two poisons get together and they make a compound which adds zyka to almost everything that we eat. Okay, so I know that, but how can I apply it to my life? And that is where perhaps students of pharmacy have a very, very big question facing them. The compound that I extract from herbs, have I been able to extract something from the tree of life? You know, it doesn't just have to be an herb. To your compound there, it can have anti-cancerous activity. I'm not saying that anti-cancerous activity. So I'm just giving you an example. So if I think of extracting compound extract herbs, no? So, and there are PhDs that we do, and everybody's extracting something from Ankeya, Karela, Yadavashe, Yavashe. So the question that I should ask myself if I'm doing that PhD is, why is it that my compounds never make it to the pharmaceutical industry? Do I not kind of extract it well, or I'm extracting something which others have extracted? That's a question that perhaps you guys have to ask yourself and then answer yourself too. So going back to sodium chloride, and so as I continued to grow up, also we have stopped growing up, now we are growing down. Because we reach a certain age. Physically, we grow down. Hopefully, mentally, we continue to grow up. Zana khalak, they grow up. Zana grow out. So, yeah, because again, it's important for students of pharmacy that, siblings, two or three, four siblings, one of them grows up, the other grows out. Well, they eat the same food. Is there something with their genes? Or is his lifestyle different? Because it's not just the drugs that we give, it's also the food that goes in and the genes that we have, that I inherited and that my siblings also inherited from our parents, and the lifestyle that I have to sokrata which ke cha bijli patola sorry let me have that so kalana kai patine sarve oshada mema pasar ki bichane wadi bas banda bawi alo ijate ke dona mudishu wiza chizu chasite ka ketekeo yo banda patina washadalo bande bichane wadi sa ke kal hua takasan mudishi wi radashi. Oh, so does that also impact my growing up or growing out? So that for me as a student of pharmacy should be a question, because it's not just extracting compounds from herbs and then trying them on different animals, guinea pigs or rabbits or mice. Mice ba dawai ka rats ba dawai? Wara. Ha ho pakto da goro ta magawai. Mice la goruki galiban rat la rati kana uzana dasi cha adera rati kana na geta ba balsta wai. So when bunga manga pure na rati that's also pharmacy. Serious, like a Mumstara animal house, we also give different medicines, experiment on them. Emunga manga pure, but then ya basi animal house ke chikam manga pure re agat each was ratishi your pond wasn't. So we need to think about that. So is it the environment too, the mess that perhaps I have in my society? Yesterday, I heard that there was one of our students who was hit by an aerial bullet, and we continue to fire air bullets. Should we do that? I don't know. Should we stop that? I don't know. Do I do it? No. Will I ever do it? Never. So when we talk about, like, there is a pharmacy wala symbol on the kind of logo la marvi have I ever thought about how perhaps these aerial bullets that people fire can impact some of us to an extent where the medicines that people like you develop, originally. Maybe. Why? Because the power that human brains has, that is perhaps more important. If I'm willing to get well, if I have the willpower, then I can overcome the disease. This is what I've heard from professors like Fazlin Nasir and some doctors. It's not just the medicine, it's the willpower that you have. So it's not just extracting compounds from herbs, perhaps, it's also having the willpower. But so many factors working on my willpower, continuously weakening it. That's dumra the body. So I have to have some water. And so, so while we are busy with extracting compounds from herbs, we should ask ourselves a question. Among compounds that the pharmaceutical industry will enact, which is a patent come up. Well, I have a Pukhton Park in the pharmacy department, the your department patent, correct? Wala na dekha. Dana chibam nari base mukudr zar kuta kunara patent. Wala na dekha. No, it's just a question. Ask yourselves that question. And you can say, well, I'm going to be the first one who will try, or we are going to be the first one who will try to extract a compound from warkhade or kurkaman or whatever, and that hopefully will become or will make it to a pharmaceutical industry. So going back to sodium chloride, why I mentioned sodium chloride is because almost everyone knows about it. Why perhaps I'm unable to apply my knowledge to real life is because I memorize things like I've memorized Newton's first law of motion, or I've memorized the formula, even the equation that leads to the birth of sodium chloride as a compound after there is a reaction between a positive ion of sodium and a negative ion of chlorine. But have I ever thought about how in our society there are different people? Some carry positive charge, others carry negative charge. If one continues to grow, it becomes as poisonous as sodium does. If I increase the intake, I can have seizures. Damyo cause kideshi bana, like a symptoms if I exceed the dose of sodium beyond what human body can tolerate. Seizures ki death ki yodrembal se shayde wana ki. So, so can I think of sodium and chlorine as two different powers, two different forces, two different sects, two different groups, two different gale, two different hails, two different people, two different genders? बजाय देख ज़दा है मचदा नर दे नो दा तकड़ा दे या कमजोर दे दा खसा दा तकड़ा दे या कमजोर दे. Can I think of them as sodium and chlorine who can come together, form a bond, and add taste? Taste shade. Mun dona غربت da غربت ختم ولدي. Dona economy कमजोर da economy strong कवलدي. That one the flavor add कवलिश. So if I think that no jima hor ya ma lud bajab na kai ya ma ror ya ma sre bajab na kai. Now then I'm allowing either sodium or chlorine to come in as a and it'll be poisonous for this society. So can we think of extracting some compounds from the herb of life and apply them to real life in a manner where we can proudly say how the pharmaceutical industry I learned this from the tree of life, and I'm going to, if it's good, I'm going to continue doing that, and if it's bad, I'm going to stop doing that. So and that's what I usually tell almost all people who go to universities. That's the thing. Students I think your average age is 22, 23, which is almost, if you live until you reach 80, that's 1/4 of your life. Your fourth Lara. But in that 1/4 of your life, have you done any such thing that you can proudly tell yourself? If the answer is wonderful. If the answer is well, you can start now. Unless a kanga hits me and I die, or an aerial bullet hits me and I die, or a bomb blast occurs and I die. If science means anything, and I'm luckily in good health, no diabetes, no hypertension, no heart problem. So I should live for at least another 15, 20 years if science means anything. That's the Zwana no Pedro share. It is one day Hissimopati. Am I your Hisapati? If I ask myself that question, I have quite a few answers. But do you have a single thing that you can proudly tell yourself that you did this or you did that? In your house, in your Chamgawan, in your university, in your school, in your college? If the answer is no, it's okay. It's never too late. You can start from tomorrow or today. So these are, the things that people, teachers like us will talk about. I don't know much about pharmacognosy. Maybe I'll be able to, break the word into two. Cognosy will mean one thing, pharma will mean something else, and I'll be able to tell you what it actually means. Or pharma, and then ecology. So how is this ecology different from ecology? I may be able to tell you because these are English words derived from Latin. But other than that, I don't know. But I have been associated with pharmacy, courtesy my very dear friend sitting here, Brother Nasir, and courtesy some other people whom I knew and whom I still know. Every person that we know is not necessarily a friend. And every friend that we have, we are lucky if we have somebody who we can call a friend. Because they don't judge you, they accept you however you are. And that is what makes them great. I'm very lucky to have friends like those. I wish you my luck. I think they are very amazing people because if they've been able to they're doing great. Serious. Serious. So, I wish you good luck. And the Faculty of Pharmacy, in addition to teaching them what is there in the books, sometimes ask them questions which can force them to think. If tomorrow I'm going to join a multinational company, and if the company gives me a job and it says I should dress up like this or I should dress up like that, am I willing to change for that? Or if it tells me that I have to work during the night, not during the day, and that I will not get any break, am I willing to do that or leave the job and say to Kamata de Mamar Zay pharmaceutical company Milabigi, no Karibakom, Kanimilabi, Nubakom. If I think like that, the education that I've had, Agemata Taklif ya Noksan Madara Sabali. Amahan Dansky Sanga, Newton's all three laws of motion, Matayat Hubai, is a physical, practical application of Juan Kichantansham Chatapole. So think about these things, and you are amazing people. I believe in that. There is no one like you. You have unique qualities, but do you know about them? Have you ever thought about what weakness you have? Have you ever thought about what strength you have? So if you are in front of a multinational company for a job interview, and they ask you, okay, you are an amazing person, you got a gold medal, your GPA is 4.0. Tell me about two weaknesses that you have. And if I go quiet, I don't know myself, and I'm applying for a job in a multinational company, I don't think they will hire me. And there's nothing wrong with having a weakness. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes. Humans make mistakes. Humans have weaknesses. Those who don't make mistakes are told by zero ke prati. Na darog wai, na corruption kai, na shor gali prati. If you are alive, you will make mistakes. If you are alive, you will have weaknesses. Exactly like when you go to a lab with all the chemicals, you hope that you will get the product. But if you find out that the product that you were hoping you would get, if you didn't get it, that is the best experiment. Dapat ako lagi that da dre chemicals yun lagi din na siya was market that there. To think about these things, you may have amazing degrees, but have you ever thought about how to make use of that knowledge that you have in your real life and in the life of those who live with you in the same house, in the same neighborhood, who work with you in the same university? Have I ever done any such thing which has made things easy for another human? Have I? If not, well, think about it. Thank you very much. There is no one like you. Believe in that. I do. Wish you good luck. Khande, John Bianum